With the Sitwells a little bit later on. But earlier this week, music director Leonard Slatkin sat down with tonight's soloist, the wonderful Storm Large. So let's hear about their performance tonight.
It is such a pleasure to welcome Storm Large back to the Orchestra Hall stage. So it was, I think, 3.5 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, around 3 years ago.
We did the viol, took it to Carnegie Hall. Yeah. So people are asking me first, well, why are you doing it again? And the real reason is because we didn't actually do it on a subscription concert. We did it as a prelude to the Carnegie Hall.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. What makes this piece so special for you? Wow, I mean, this is something that certainly 10 years ago you probably didn't think about.
No, when it was presented to me by Carlos Kalmar from Oregon Symphony, good friend of mine, he really wanted me to do it, and I read it and listened to it, and I did not get it at all. Very Teutonic, very dry, very narrative, and then studying it originally as a chant ballet, it's the singer narrates, the dancer performs, and so since I was going to be by myself, I was doubly confused, didn't really know what it meant or how to get into it until I got into it. And I've been performing it now 3 years with several different orchestras. And it's so incredible, the story and the style in which Kurt Weill evokes emotion. It's seething, but it's because the narrator isn't necessarily responding to what is happening emotionally. The audience is left to sort of look on in horror at the reality that she and her sister are existing in.
Let's make an assumption. This is written in 33 or 34, I believe.
33.
So the Nazis have already begun their rise.
Kristallnacht has already happened.
It's already happened. Can we assume that both Brecht and Weill had this in mind when they created what is essentially a truly sinful piece of music, both in text and in the notes themselves? I mean, this would probably not have been allowed a few years later. And does that inhabit how you portray the character?
Well, I always consider mostly Weill's relationship to Lotte Lenya, because he wrote it for her, and they came up in World War I. And they both had to leave Germany. And this piece was written about America before either of the men had been to America, and they were in exile in Paris at the time. And they, the drumbeat of war was kicking in. Hitler was on the rise, and I think the piece was commissioned because the guy paying for it wanted something for his wife,
and
who
he
was a ballet
British.
Dancer. He was British, and so therein lies this really interesting combination of this lusty, complicated relationship between Weill and Lotte Lenya, this very angry, white-knuckled hatred of capitalism by Brecht. And it was really kind of a hateful message of capitalism and of America.
Your transition as an artist, I mean, I don't want to say entirely run the gamut, because who knows what is next. But the simple fact that you're out here doing this piece now as literally, probably of the living folks out there doing this regularly, you've become the interpreter of this work. And
English,
here you are, coming from a background that has nothing to do with this.
No.
And so how do you discover these different things, all these facets of your life, your musical life? It's amazing. I know very few people who have such a broad interest in so many different styles and ideas.
Well, thank you. Well, I didn't grow up in a musical household, but art always fascinated me, and expression always fascinated me. I was alone a lot. I was a weirdo. and I could always sing. And so my musical impetus was always just pretty much to get attention. And but I think my emotional rawness, my sensitivity, which I always felt was a huge liability in life in general, because I was just a raw nerve, really moving through the world. And I used to pray to stop caring so much about everything. And but it lends itself to an empathetic interpretation of music. And in music, I perform with Pink Martini in 17 different languages. I don't speak all those languages, but I can feel all of those movements. And so I think maybe because of my curiosity, my ADD, my stubbornness, if something frightens me artistically, I insist on doing it. I insist on doing it, even if I think I might completely suck. I insist on doing it.
But you're not going to know that unless you try it.
Right. And it is improved my art in all ways, in my visual, in my interpretive, in my curiosity, in my interpersonal relationships. It makes you a better listener, trying new things, new songs, new music, and it definitely helps with my humility, because like when you say things like that, I'm like, whoa, wow, I am awesome.
All right, I'll stop. Anyway, what you actually just said is so inspirational, not just for those of us who are artists who really have this curiosity, but for a time in which we need it from everybody.
Yeah.
Our attention span has been diminished because we've become such a visual-oriented society that we expect everything to be fed to us.
And also instantly.
Right.
We want instantaneous satisfaction for a search, for a Google search, for I want to see this starlet naked. I want to see this. I want to know where to get this.
Yeah.
There's no more. This curiosity is just sort of instantly satisfying.
And that's why I would think that for you, not only appearing in the concert hall, but when you do a cabaret show, you do other things like that, where you have the immediacy of an audience, something that will only happen once for these people.
Right.
Your job is to make, say, 1,500 people here, each have 1,500 different reactions. Well, they will have had the most incredible reward by what you've accomplished here, what your colleagues and your family over on the other side of the stage have, and the boys in the band who are just having a great time and loving it. And you and I got to start talking about the next project together.
Yes, we do.
Really do.
Yes,
but
we do.
That's not in front of everybody.
No, it's going to be a secret clandestine meeting.
Let's
and
go
we'll wear
in.
robes.
Let's get out of here and do that. Thank you very much, Storm.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Leonard.